The Vietnam War was far more than a regional conflict in Southeast Asia. It was a central battleground of the Cold War, where global powers competed over ideology, influence, and control. The United States entered the war primarily to stop the spread of communism, guided by the belief known as the domino theory, which suggested that if one country failed to communism, others in the region would follow. North Vietnam, led by Ho Chi Minh, was backed by communist allies, while South Vietnam was supported by the United States and other anti-communist nations. However, for many Vietnamese people, the conflict was not just about ideology. It was also a fight for independence after years of colonial rule. The United States was not alone in its efforts. Several countries joined in support of South Vietnam, forming a coalition aligned against communism. The United States led the war effort, sending millions of troops over the course of the conflict. Allies such as South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, Thailand, and the Philippines contributed troops, resources, or strategic support. On the other side, North Vietnam received crucial backing from powerful communist nations. China provided weapons, supplies, and logistical support, while the Soviet Union supplied advanced military technology, including missiles and air defense systems that challenged U.S. air superiority. Other countries, such as North Korea and Cuba, also offered support. Although these nations did not always send large numbers of combat troops, their contributions were essential in sustaining North Vietnam's ability to resist one of the world's most powerful militaries. Despite the scale of international involvement, the war's most devastating impact was felt by Vietnamese civilians. This reality was tragically illustrated by the My Lai Massacre, which occurred on March 16, 1968. U.S. soldiers entered a village expecting to encounter enemy fighters, but instead found unarmed civilians. Over several hours, hundreds of men, women, and children were killed. Although there was no clearly documented written order explicitly instructing soldiers to kill all civilians, many later testified that they believed they had been told to treat everyone in the area as the enemy. The combination of fear, confusion, and pressure to produce results created conditions where such an atrocity could occur. The exposure of the My Lai massacre had a profound effect on public opinion in the United States. When journalist Seymour Hersh revealed the story in 1969, it confirmed the worst fears of many Americans who already questioned the morality of the war. Graphic images and eyewitness accounts made it impossible to dismiss the reality of what had happened. As a result, the anti-war movement grew stronger, shifting from concerns about cost and casualties to deeper moral outrage about the conduct of the war itself. This growing unrest contributed to major protest movements across the country, particularly among students and young people. Tensions reached a breaking point during the Kent State shootings, when National Guard troops opened fire on student protesters, killing 4. This event symbolized how deeply the war had divided the nation, and showed that the violence of the conflict was no longer confined to distant battlefields, but had begun to affect life at home. For Black Americans, the Vietnam War carried an additional layer of complexity and injustice. Black soldiers were often drafted at higher rates early in the war, and were more likely to be placed in combat roles. This meant they faced greater risks on the battlefield, while still dealing with racial discrimination within the military and in American society. The contradiction of fighting for freedom abroad, while being denied full rights at home, led many to question the purpose of the war. Figures like Muhammad Ali the draft, while civil rights leaders such as Martin Luther King Jr. openly criticized the war, connecting it to broader struggles for justice and equality. In the end, the Vietnam War exposed deep contradictions within American society and its global role. It revealed the human cost of ideological conflict, the consequences of unclear military objectives, and the impact of systemic inequality. Events like the My Lai massacre forced the nation to confront uncomfortable truths about war, morality, and accountability. Even today, the lessons of Vietnam continue to shape discussions about military intervention, protest, and the ongoing pursuit of justice both at home and abroad.